Okay, everyone, hello there. So, if you don't want to hear me talk about the New York gubernatorial race, you can click out of this video right now. But if you want to stick around, hear my point of view on why I think Kathy Hochul is not the right person going forward, this video is for you. Because I am just so ashamed that these two only had one debate. Because Kathy Hochul is an egomaniac. Zeldin can have a little bit of an ego problem too. I'm not saying he's perfect, but, even though, what choice did we have, given that, I didn't want to have another sparring issue with Pete King, chairman of the Nassau GOP, but that's, we put differences aside, and you know what? This is what we have coming up on November 8th. And do apologize for the computer making that noise. Had to disconnect something on the fly, but there won't be any more echoing because I have gotten the kinks fixed up. So we're going to watch how Kathy Hochul is out of touch with New Yorkers. You're going to see this lady who has been our governor now for almost a year and a half. You're going to see how out of touch she is with the everyday New Yorker who can't afford to pay their taxes. The grocery bills keep getting higher and higher. Mommy and Daddy are not going to be able to provide a proper Thanksgiving this year. Not even a proper holiday. Not even a proper Christmas or a Hanukkah coming up. Staying safe on the subway, or staying safe in general. I understand the Dobbs decision has completely divided this country, but in a time where most women, and a large majority of women, are more worried about their paychecks or worried about how they're going to stay safe, they're more worried about that than worried about the A word, which, if I say the A word on here, YouTube is going to say that I'm a misogynist. So, yeah, we're not going to say the A word on here. Because Mark Nice has been very clear on certain things or certain words you can't say on YouTube. And I would suggest to check him out. And Mark, if you're watching this video, I think you should react to this debate too. Because you need to see how bad things are here in New York. Because I know California is a lost cause. And I feel bad for Mark that he's going to be stuck with 4 more years of Mr. Gavin Newsom. But here in New York, a lot of national pundits think that we have a chance to flip this seat. So you're going to see in this video why New York has a good chance to flip its gubernatorial seat. So without further ado, let's watch the crazy lady from Buffalo make her first opening remark from Channel 4.
You can either work on keeping people scared, or you can focus on keeping them safe.
You're poorer and less safe because of Kathy Hochul.
So good opening remarks from Lee Zeldin, as you just saw. You're poorer and less safer because of Kathy Hochul, and I couldn't agree more. And the fact that Kathy Hochul has said, end quote, that, the Republicans are just fear-mongering people. Lady, have you been watching the news? Oh, that's right, because you're stuck in Buffalo with your wonderful Buffalo channels. Yeah. Look what we have to deal with. Again, I've talked about the borough for borough case. Robberies are dramatically up in Staten Island and Queens. Rapes dramatically up in Brooklyn. Out of all places, Brooklyn. Felony assault dramatically up in Manhattan. Shootings year to date up in the Bronx this year. This lady doesn't look at borough by borough statistics. Do you know the Queens has the most robberies per capita out of any of the 5 boroughs right now? It's true. My neighbor's catalytic converter got stolen this year. So she's clearly out of touch. Clearly out of touch. So let's watch the rest, because you're going to see, again, how crazy is this lady. And yes, there is a 4-point lead right now. Don't let that fool you. This is still a winnable race. All you have to hope for is Long Island, both Nassau and Suffolk. Maybe, I've heard Westchester could flip. There's a possibility. Because I found out from a couple of my viewers in Westchester that robberies have been up in Westchester per year to date. So that doesn't surprise me that the robberies are up in Westchester. Now, Rockland, that's a different story. You have a mix of Orthodox Jews who vote Democrats, so that could be an issue right there. Even though, surprisingly, Rockland has a Republican county executive. But in terms of everywhere else, Capital District, Albany might vote for Zeldin, given how bad the robberies are up there. Central District of New York, I found out shootings are dramatically up in Syracuse this year. Normally a quiet hamlet of New York State, shootings are dramatically up in general. Now, I can't say the H word, because if I say the H word, again, YouTube will take down this video, and we don't want that to happen. Western New York, Kathy Hochul's home district, has actually been too close to call in some of the polls. Adirondacks, I can confirm that in the northern tier, Zeldin is leading up there right now, so then you gotta hope that, again, some of these rural counties near, I would say, Binghamton, I would say near, there are some rural counties that, you know, maybe I'm not thinking of, but those rural counties have got to turn out and vote for Zeldin. It is possible. This could be a close race. There's no question about it. So again, you're going to see how dysfunctional is Kathy Hochul, because this lady is a complete joke.
You're poorer and less safe because of Kathy Hochul.
Well, nice to see you, too.
It was Lee Zeldin's only chance to confront Kathy Hochul on the debate stage, and he wasn't wasting a minute.
This is our opportunity. 2 weeks from tonight, we can continue with the status quo where they believe they haven't passed enough pro-criminal laws, or we could take control of our destiny and make sure law-abiding New Yorkers are in charge of our streets again.
First of all, you can either work on keeping people scared, or you can focus on keeping them safe. I did focus on bail reform in our budget.
People are at home waiting for action to make sure that the handcuffs are going on criminals instead of law-abiding New Yorkers, so that people can go walk the streets of Manhattan instead of having to call an Uber just to go 2 blocks.
Hochul tried to pivot, taking aim at Zeldin's refusal to support gun control measures in Congress.
It is a joke to talk about a crime policy that doesn't include doing something about illegal guns. When you had the chance, as a member of Congress, to stand with other Republicans who finally said enough is enough, no more school massacres by teenagers, you were nowhere to be found, Lee.
She also tried to keep the focus on Zeldin's ties to Trump.
Is Donald Trump a great president?
I worked closely with him on a
Yes or
number
no?
of important
Yes or no?
policies.
Zeldin gave another vague answer when asked if he would still vote against certifying the 2020 election results if he could do it over again.
And it's about looking forwards, not backwards.
Then he was asked if he would abide by the results of this election.
Well, first off, losing is not an option. Secondly, playing along with your hypothetical question, of course.
Zeldin accused Hochul of cutting deals with donors and cutting aptly timed rebate checks to taxpayers.
This governor actually put on the property tax check that it was courtesy of her, as if you owe her a thank you.
Zeldin, who's anti-abortion, used the debate to repeat his carefully worded promise that he won't try to change New York's expansive abortion laws after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade in the Dobbs decision.
When we woke up the day after the Dobbs decision, the law in New York was exactly the same as it was the day before. And I'm not going to change that.
Lee, you can't run from your record.
Hochul warned New Yorkers not to trust him.
You know why nothing changed the day after the Dobbs decision? It's because I'm the governor of the state of New York and he's not.
It doesn't matter who the governor was the day of the Dobbs decision because it was already passed into law a few years ago.
Hochul trying to point to her accomplishments and those visceral issues for Democrats, you know, the ones that motivate them to get out and vote, with the outcome of this race growing more uncertain in recent days. And Natalie and David, Zeldin's been calling for multiple debates, but
yeah, you obviously heard, you know, she's refused to debate him. It's no question. This is the only so-called debate that New York has right now. It's a joke. It's a joke that this lady wants to hide. That's what she's doing. And the fact that you got, you know, I think they did spend way too much time talking about our 45th president. You know, I don't think people are motivated about what happened on January 6th. I don't think that many people are motivated by it anymore. It's old news. I know, again, it was very unfortunate that we lost a Capitol police officer, and I support our police. And I hope that memory of that officer never dies in vain. But, you know, that was the Capitol Police's fault for not knowing that there was going to be an insurrection. They should have planned ahead. They should have known that the president was planning to go to the Capitol. That's a whole different story. So, thank goodness Zeldin gave a good answer and said, we're looking to move forward. And I agree with him on that. And in the fact that, you know, they talked way too much time about the A word. Way too much time. And I know the A word may have slipped through, and maybe YouTube's checkers might look into it. I don't know. But, you know, again, most people don't care about that right now. Because the Dobbs decision said it goes to the states. I know it's unfortunate. And I know I've said, you know, it was unfortunate that Roe got overturned. I understand that. But that is not a priority right now when our economy is trying to recover from a recession that was brought on by the Biden administration and by Democrats in Congress. The fact that we're seeing record high crime numbers, not just in New York, but all these other major metropolitan cities. You know, it's not a priority right now. You can't just treat it like that. So, Channel 1 was clearly being biased. And Zeldin said it himself the best. He can't change the law with an executive order because then the New York State Supreme Court, because I'm assuming Tish James is going to be the Attorney General, should Lee Zeldin win, because I'm assuming, you know, not that many people know who Mike Henry is. I understand that. He doesn't have the name recognition like Zeldin does, because Zeldin's a Long Island guy. Most people in Long Island know who he is, etc., etc. It's, you know. Let's say if Zeldin tried to ban the A word. Let's just assume, right? Let's assume he does it. Then the New York State Supreme Court would sue him. They would, let's say, tell Governor Zeldin to appear in court. Zeldin would face charges for overturning a law that went into effect during the Cuomo administration. And if he's not facing the Supreme Court, then the state assembly would grill him, the state senate would grill him, well, even though the Senate would be Republicans, but the assembly is still going to be controlled by the Democrats. That's a given. So Hochul is in her own little delusional world, where the cavalry can come to save the A word in New York. And if it doesn't, then, you know, at the end of the day, what can you do? You know? What can you do about it? I mean, most women don't even care about it anymore. They don't. Maybe the crazy socialists do, but, you know, which, again, I want to mention randomly, if you're in AOC's district, please vote for Tina Forte because, oh my God, I mean, AOC is going to keep pushing the Green New Deal on us. Well, that's a whole different story, but... Channel 7, if we can find the video, it should be here somewhere. Here it is. So I want to play the Channel 7 video. And the reason why we're going to play the Channel 7 video is because they did talk about subway crime.
2 weeks ago in the race for New York governor, and tonight the two candidates squaring off in an election that has drawn national attention.
Kathy Hochul and Lee Zeldin sparring tonight on how best to govern New York.
We need to make our streets safe again.
We gave people property tax rebates this year.
People of New York are demanding transparency. They want to know who's coming, where they're coming from, who they are, where they're going.
I don't know how you think that people aren't going to notice your past record.
I'm Josh Einiger at Pace University, and if it's the goal of a political debate to draw contrast with your opponent, mission accomplished when it comes to these two candidates for governor tonight. It's quickly become the biggest issue facing New Yorkers, and right out of the gate tonight, Long Island Congressman Lee Zeldin went on the attack on crime.
I'm here for one reason, to save our state. There are criminals out there who need to pay the consequences for their action instead of the catch-release policies that Kathy Hochul champions.
It is a joke to talk about a crime policy that doesn't include doing something about illegal guns. When you had the chance, as a member of Congress, to stand with other Republicans who finally said enough is enough, you were nowhere to be found, Lee. I mean, people need to know. You can't talk about, just all you have is rhetoric.
For 15 minutes, they sparred.
Okay, so we're going to go back to that in just a second, but, you know, first of all, look at her. Oh! What about the firearms, Lee? Yeah, well, what about your predecessor, Andrew Cuomo, who put it into law that you could just catch and release the criminals? You basically catch them, you hold them in jail for 24 hours on a Class A felony charge, and then you let them out the next day. It's so ridiculous. You know how the system is supposed to work. You hold them until their court date, and that's what happens. Clearly, this lady is so out of touch. What about the guns? What about the guns? Lady! New York is a concealed carry state now. The Supreme Court ruled on that in June. We're now like Texas. Yee-haw! You know, it's ridiculous. I respect the decision what you want to do. Your decision. As long as you have concealed carry and you have an open permit, that's the law of the land, lady. And look what you did. You ruined it for those people. You ruined it. Now, I do believe that we need to do something about these, you know, heavy assault weapons. I do agree on that. Something has got to be done about that. Alright? Something's got to be done. I do agree that nobody under the age 21 should be getting those weapons. I agree. But at the same time, you know, they're crazy enough to think that they're going to completely ban them. We have people in the military that need to practice with those weapons when they're on the combat field. There's a real possibility we may have to go to Ukraine. You gonna take away their weapons? That's how they think. They're insane in the membrane. Kathy Hochul, again, out of touch. It's catch and release. And I've heard it from every high-ranking officer within the NYPD and the police in Nassau. It's the same thing. And they're out committing the same crime or a different crime the next day. And Kathy Hochul also supports closing Rikers. So, this is where things get good.
About just all you have is rhetoric.
For 15 minutes, they sparred on crime alone. Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul touting changes to bail laws and a recent partnership with the city to patrol the subway. Zeldin, a Republican, laying the blame for crime at Hochul's feet.
Kathy Hochul's too busy patting herself on the back. Job well done. No.
It's not about governing by sound bites. I'm governing by sound policy. Yes, we have more illegal guns off our streets because I brought together people from 9 states to work together. We're hitting the gun traffickers.
It wasn't just crime on the agenda. Zeldin is anti-abortion, and though he cheered...
Okay, I'm done talking about the A word. But I want to show you something very, very important. Bump, 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 bump. Look at this. The Fresh Meadows shooting back in April. That's 188th Street. Yeah, stock footage. This is what Zeldin was talking about. The shooting that happened in my neighborhood back in April. Hey, Kathy Hochul, we didn't see you here in April. Where were you? We needed you to come to Fresh Meadows in April, and you were nowhere to be found. None of our elected officials went to come comfort us. None of them. This shouldn't have to happen. And then you focus on the A word. You focus on, again, what happened on January 6th. No one is focused on that. So I want to watch this part. Hang on. Let me see what they talk about here.
Unlike Hochul with President Biden.
Do you want to see Joe Biden run for re-election?
Yes, I do.
Do you want to see Donald Trump run for president in 2024, Lee Zeldin?
Not even thinking about it. I'm focused on 14 days from today.
Zeldin was for a long time seen...
And that was the right answer. Thank you, Lee Zeldin. Focusing on the now. We can't focus on, oh, what could happen in 2024. It's like, really? Who cares? You're running for one of the most important gubernatorial seats in the country. We're talking about New York. So, now, we're going to watch CBS 2. Because they did talk about subway crime, if I am correct. Let's see, did they?
Hochul says Zeldin wants to keep the people of New York scared instead of safe.
There is no crime-fighting plan if it doesn't include guns, illegal guns. And you refuse to talk about how we can do so much more. You didn't even show up for votes in Washington when a bipartisan group of enlightened legislators voted for an assault weapon ban.
Zeldin's response, stating Hochul remains too focused on crimes committed with guns.
And you got people who are afraid of being pushed in front of oncoming subway cars. They're being stabbed, beaten to death on the street with hammers. You know, it's amazing that we're going to be able to go through the entire crime conversation of this debate, and we're still waiting for Kathy Hochul to talk about actually locking up criminals.
Another big topic, abortion.
Again, another good answer Zeldin gave, in my opinion. I think that, you know, people are scared of, you know, being pushed onto the subway tracks. And people are also scared of unauthorized people on the tracks. Today, 2 people alone today, as I'm recording this video, 25 minutes before 5 p.m. Think about it. A person run over in Bay Ridge today. Another person run over by a train, Upper West Side. You tell me that people are just concerned about the guns when people are concerned about getting stabbed, getting punched, getting a group of people beating them up. Or even the worst thing right now, pushed. Once again, you are seeing how bad, how radicalized to the left this lady is.
The Long Island congressman declaring the state of New York is in crisis under Hochul's leadership.
If you're tired of soaring crime, DAs that let violent criminals out on the street to roam free, crushing taxes and skyrocketing costs, New Yorkers struggling to feed their families and heat their homes, the reality is, for you, you deserve better.
Meanwhile, Hochul says her job as governor isn't over yet.
Every single day I wake up thinking about how I can fight harder for you and your families, to invest in education for your kids, give you more child care opportunities so you can get back to your jobs. Also keeping more money in your pockets with middle-class tax cuts and property tax rebates, but very much focused on public safety and getting more and more illegal guns off the streets.
Early voting across the state starts this Saturday.
So you get the idea. You get the idea. It's, you know, I got one more video I want you to watch.
Their action instead of the catch-release policies that Kathy Hochul.
I'm trying to find it.
Reiterated tonight one of his common campaign refrains that he would remove Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. But Hochul reminded her Republican challenger you cannot remove an elected official. And then they tackle the economy and inflation.
Generate revenue, bring spending under control in this state.
Yeah, I agree. You know, Kathy Hochul says, oh, you can't remove this guy, Alvin. Yeah, the governor can remove a DA. The governor has executive power to do it. Now, let's see how Zeldin feels about the economy.
Inflation.
Generate revenue, bring spending under control in this state, bring down taxes. New York is going to be back open for business.
If you're really serious about helping people, you cut their taxes and middle-class families. I did that this year with the legislature.
What's expected to be their one and only debate before Election Day,
Let's look at the record.
All right, so talking about the A word again, you know, I'm sick of it. And then talking about me, Mr. Donald Trump. I don't think anybody is worried about that right now. No! No! So I'm trying to find the part where they talk about
far in 2022, while in prior years, going all the way back to 2008, there were never more than 3 murders in any given year in the subways. And as you mentioned a few days ago, you and Mayor Eric Adams announced a plan for an expanded police presence in the subways, along with more security cameras, 50 new treatment beds for the mentally ill. But given the dimensions of the problem, what is your message to New Yorkers who are frightened for their safety and believe the latest initiative is too little too late?
No, I understand the fear. I walk the streets of New York City every day. I've taken the subways. This fear is real. There's facts that talk about statistics.
Hey lady, we've seen you on the subway and you have your security detail. Why don't you get rid of them? You know, Mike Bloomberg, when he was the mayor, he never had a security detail when he rode the subway.
Which make a different case, but I'm also dealing with real human beings who are anxious about their kids getting on a subway or going to work. I understand that, but that was not my first time teaming up with Mayor Adams. We were together literally January 6th, not that January 6th, but January 6th the following year, When Eric Adams was brand new as mayor, I said, let's go to the subway together. Let's work together. You never heard that before. A governor and a mayor working in concert to support law enforcement. I tripled the amount of money to go to law enforcement. And Lee Zeldin, when he was a member of Congress, didn't even bother to show up for a vote to fund our police officers. He didn't show up to vote for sensible gun safety legislation. He walked off his job years ago to run for this one, and I feel for his constituents who've been not represented at all over the last year and a half.
You know, it's amazing that we're going to be able to go through the entire crime conversation of this debate, and we're still waiting for Kathy Hochul to talk about actually locking up criminals. I mean, people are at home waiting for action to make sure that the handcuffs are going on criminals instead of law-abiding New Yorkers so that people can go walk the streets of Manhattan.
So Zeldin did go off topic on there. I do agree. And, you know, I would have stayed on topic about subway safety because Errol Lewis was specifically asking, what would you do about subway crime? And I think both of them on a couple of the topics from what I've seen on this one tape, you know, they did in fact go off topic a bunch of times. And, you know, I wasn't happy about that part. And, you know, again, Channel 1 was so biased. You know, and this is our only debate. But you know what? I think it's clearly obvious that Hochul just doesn't understand what we're dealing with right now. We rarely see her anymore in Queens. She's too busy playing in her Manhattan that she loves so much before, you know. I mean, look at this. She has Hillary Clinton campaigning with her. I mean, where's Joe Biden? Oh, trying to stop Ron DeSantis in Florida? Ron DeSantis has an 8-point lead going into Tuesday. So, we've had DeSantis help us in New York, at least. We got help from Glenn Youngkin in Westchester this week. I am really worried what could happen on Tuesday. So that's how I feel about this debate. I think Kathy Hochul was spewing the radical left agenda as usual. And, you know, she's secretly supporting the Green New Deal. We can't be relying on the grid all the time. It's going to fail. You can't force everybody into a Tesla, lady. And the same for you, AOC. I'm telling you, I'll be so happy if Tina Forte can defeat AOC. That will make me really, really happy. And also, don't be fooled by those ballot propositions. Vote no on all of them. Another ploy by Hochul. Look at her. Put the witch hat on. You know what she looks like. Versus Zeldin. You gave him that military cap. He served in the military. General Zeldin's coming. Hopefully. I know it's a 4-point lead for Hochul right now. But things could change. Things could change the next couple of days. We could have a major crime, like what happened in Newark yesterday. I'm glad those cops are going to be okay in New Jersey. I'm hoping we don't have it, but it could happen. Thanks to Hochul's recklessness. So I'm done here. I think 35 minutes is long enough for me to just say, you know, you know what you have to do. Alright, if you want the same status quo of one-party rule for the past, I don't know, 12 years, you know who to vote for. But if you want change, you want to feel safe, you want your money back in your pocket, you know who to vote for. So that's it. Let's see how Tuesday ends up next week. That's all I'm going to say for now.